Louisa was a waitress with a huge heart and a service attitude that touched everyone who passed by the restaurant where she worked. She didn't have a very prominent position, but her work was always done with care and dedication. She worked in a popular restaurant in the city center, serving a varied clientele, from workers who stopped by for lunch to families who went there to celebrate special moments. However, it wasn't just her service that stood out, but the way she treated everyone with respect, regardless of their social status. One cold morning, when the restaurant was just starting to fill up, Louisa noticed a homeless man arrive. He was dirty, wearing worn clothes, and looked exhausted. The man, without much money, only ordered a hot soup, but the manager, upon seeing him, made a point of telling him that he should buy something more expensive in order to be able to sit there. Louisa, who didn't like to see people being mistreated, approached with a kind smile. Without hesitation, she decided to offer the soup for free, explaining that the restaurant was happy to help. The man thanked her with an emotional look, and Louisa handed him the meal, treating him with the same dignity she would give any customer. Although her action was motivated by kindness, Louisa had no idea that it would change the course of her life so drastically. She was willing to help, without expecting anything in return. However, her decision to show solidarity to someone in a vulnerable situation would become the first chapter in a story that would lead her to a great turnaround. After Louisa's actions, the atmosphere in the restaurant became a little tense. Her action to help the homeless man caused a stir among her coworkers, especially in the administrative department. The manager, who valued profits and maintaining strict rules within the restaurant, saw this action as a breach of the establishment's service policy. For him, this represented a risk, as he believed that customers could take advantage of the waitress's kindness and start asking for free meals. In the following weeks, the atmosphere became uncomfortable. Louisa noticed a change in how the manager treated her. He ignored her in meetings and often seemed to repress any gesture of kindness she had toward the more humble customers. Despite this, Louisa continued to do what she believed was right, not letting the pressure make her change her attitude. It was on a busy day at the restaurant, when a large crowd was waiting to be served, that Louisa realized that something was not right. The manager, irritated by the crowd, went to her and coldly and bluntly said, "Louisa, you are fired. We cannot continue with attitudes that affect business in this way." The waitress was surprised and, although sad, remained calm, accepting the decision with the dignity she had always shown. She knew that her act of kindness had cost her her job, but she did not regret having helped that man. Louisa's dismissal was a blow, but it was also a moment of reflection on what really mattered in her life. She felt that her heart was at peace because she had made the right choice. However, no one imagined that what seemed to be the end of her journey at the restaurant would in fact be just the beginning of something much bigger. Louisa's story quickly spread throughout the city, and what seemed like a simple act of kindness turned into a movement of solidarity. Customers who frequented the restaurant began to express their support on social media, praising the waitress's courage and generosity. Many expressed their support, sharing stories of when they had also witnessed her kindness and began to question the restaurant's decision to fire her. That was when, unexpectedly, Louisa's name reached one of the most famous personalities in world football, Lionel Messi. The Argentine star, who was on tour in the city for a charity event, heard about Louisa's story and was deeply touched. He had always been a defender of good deeds and believed that acts of generosity were fundamental, especially when they came from humble people like Louisa. Messi, known for his discretion, decided to contact Louisa in a way that no one could have foreseen. He organized a surprise for her, inviting her to a charity event that he would be attending. At the event, Messi took the stage and, in front of an emotional audience, made a point of paying tribute to Louisa, praising her kindness and saying that she was an example for everyone. He also announced that he would help her find a new job opportunity and that he would take responsibility for her education, offering her a course in management and entrepreneurship. Messi's gesture not only surprised Louisa, but also inspired many others to rethink their attitudes towards others. News of his support went viral, and soon other public figures and companies began to mobilize to offer support to Louisa, recognizing her value and the importance of her attitude. Louisa, who until then had been just a simple waitress, was now seen as a true heroine, someone who not only fed a man, but also touched thousands of hearts. Lionel Messi's support for Louisa had repercussions beyond her expectations. While many saw the gesture as a simple recognition of human kindness, for Louisa it was a turning point in her life. She felt deeply grateful and, at the same time, surprised by the visibility her story had achieved. During the charity event, Louisa was interviewed by journalists, and her simplicity, even in the face of so much attention, won even more hearts. In addition to the management and entrepreneurship course offered by Messi, several companies began to contact her, offering job opportunities and even partnerships in social projects. A restaurant, recognizing the value of her experience in the sector, invited her to become the manager of a new unit, where she could apply everything she had learned and also promote social responsibility actions. Louisa was excited, but at the same time she felt a renewed sense of purpose. She knew that her journey was not just about changing the life of a homeless person, but about being a symbol of empathy and humanity, something that many had lost sight of in the rush of everyday life. With the support of Messi and so many other people, Louisa now felt that she was on a new and promising path, not only for herself, but also for others who needed help. She began to think of ways to give back for all that she was receiving, perhaps by creating a project to support people in vulnerable situations, just like the man she fed. Louisa also became a well-known figure on social media, where she shared her reflections on life, kindness, and the importance of not judging others. Her story continued to be an inspiration, proving that a small act of generosity could, in fact, create big changes. The support she received not only made her a local hero, but also gave her the tools she needed to transform her own life, and I'm sure the lives of many others around her. The impact of Louisa's actions went beyond the restaurant and social media. The impact of her story caught the attention of organizations that support the homeless population, who sought to contact Louisa to offer support for their future initiatives. She was invited to participate in conferences on social responsibility and volunteering, where she was able to share her experience and inspire others to get involved in similar causes. Louisa, with her humility and altruistic spirit, also began to be invited to join committees of companies focused on social inclusion and inequality reduction projects. Her story not only resonated in the local community, but also generated a change in corporate thinking, leading many companies to rethink their social responsibility policies and the inclusion of minorities and vulnerable people in the job market. In addition, Louisa's visibility brought to the fore a debate about the treatment given to the homeless and the need for more effective public policies to help these people. She, who had always had a critical view of the way society dealt with poverty and exclusion, became an advocate for the rights of those most in need, fighting for significant changes in the living conditions of homeless people. Her voice began to gain strength, and she became an icon not only of kindness, but also of social activism. However, despite all the attention she was receiving, Louisa remained true to her principles. She continued working at the new restaurant, using her position as manager not only to take care of the operation, but also to implement actions aimed at supporting needy communities. She knew she could do more, and with the support of those around her, her mission was just beginning. Over time, Louisa began to dream bigger. She envisioned a future in which she could create an NGO focused on welcoming people in vulnerable situations, providing not only food and shelter, but also training, courses, and psychological support. Her goal was to create a support network that would transform lives and ensure that no one would be left behind, like the man she had once helped in such a simple but profound way. The culmination of Louisa's story came unexpectedly when Lionel, Messi himself, after learning of her kind gesture, decided to show his support in a tangible way. Seeing the positive impact that Louisa had made, Messi, who has always been involved in social causes, offered to help with a major fundraising campaign for Louisa's NGO, which is now in the process of being created. The famous football player not only made a generous donation, but also committed to participating in charity events to promote the project and raise awareness of the cause. Furthermore, Messi did not want the gesture to be seen as just a financial contribution. He participated in meetings with Louisa and the organizations she supported, discussing ways to implement sustainable changes in the lives of homeless people. MESSI'S presence was a real turning point for Louisa's NGO, as his image brought massive attention, attracting more investors and partnerships with companies willing to contribute resources and expertise to expand the project. MESSI'S support did not stop there. On one of his visits to the city, he made a point of accompanying Louisa on a volunteer event she had organized to distribute meals and hygiene products to the homeless. MESSI, with his characteristic humility, mingled with the volunteers, helping to carry boxes and serve food without any kind of stardom. This gesture of empathy touched everyone deeply, showing that, regardless of fame and status, the most important thing was to make a difference in the lives of those who needed it most. The union between Louisa and MESSI created a powerful platform to talk about social exclusion and the challenges that people in vulnerable situations face. Together, they managed to generate a wave of support that transcended borders, with campaigns gaining traction in several countries. Louisa's project became a global reference, not only for the quality of its actions, but also for the heart and sincerity that motivated her. In the end, Louisa's story became a symbol that small gestures, such as sharing a meal with someone in need, can expand and change lives, including those of powerful and influential people. Her humility and courage, with the support of MESSI and others, contributed to building a more just and caring future. And Louisa became not only a waitress who made a difference, but a true social leader who inspired the entire world.